This week we're off to Alasitas to try the Caturra washed. It's always great when we go back to Bolivia. You know how much love I have for the country of Bolivia. It's one of my favourite places. No, actually, I'm going to go out there. It's my favourite country in the world. I absolutely adore the place. I love the people. I love the typography. I love the way everything's different. People who are new won't have heard this. If you've listened for a lot, well, you're just going to listen to me say it again. But when I go to Kenya, it looks like Ethiopia. When I go to Guatemala, it looks like El Salvador. When I go to Bolivia, it looks like space. It's crazy. You land at like 4,500 meters above sea level, so you're virtually in the sky already. The pilots that land the planes have to wear masks and be specially trained. The runway is one of the longest runways in South America because the air is so thin. When the plane hits and its flaps go up, there's no resistance in the wind to the plane because the air is so thin. You get off the plane and you feel drunk, mainly because I've been drinking while I'm on the plane. But even if you haven't been drinking on the plane, you come off, the air, it's thin, you can't taste it, you crave normal air. In the airports and in the cabs and in the hotel transfer buses, they all have oxygen. They all have tea making facilities for coca tea, as coca tea helps with altitude sickness. It's just a bizarre, bizarre place. But I think the thing I love most about Bolivia is the Rodriguez family. So Pedro, who is the father, Daniela, who is the daughter, and Pedro Pablo, who is the son, used to own a mill. So everybody in the area would deliver coffee to the mill and would have their coffee processed and they would sell it. So they would pay for cherry, they would make it into a commodity grade coffee and then sell it to a commodity grade buyer. And what Pedro saw in the market was an opportunity for specialty. So instead of selling it to the commodity, he started to separate out the lots and would say, this coffee is from Tadasio Mamani. This coffee is from David Vilka, and try and kind of build that specialty picture. But started doing it at a time, which is really bad luck, as coffee production started to decline in the Carinavi area where the mill was. So he got this great business plan. He found the buyers that really wanted to buy this coffee, and we were one of the first ones to be kind of going in and buying these unique coffees. And there was more and more demand, but less and less supply. So the three of them sat down and decided, how do we fix this? So they went out and bought their own farms, went and bought land and went, okay, let's get the coffee so we can continue to fulfill that demand. We know there's customers who want it. From that, they've gone on and bought, I think it's 7 farms now, and then also bought some farms in Santa Cruz, which is a 50-minute plane ride away. I have no idea how long the car journey, I think about 15 hours. But built these farms and then have started to process them and sell them. Alasitas is one of the original ones where they looked at this spot and went, if we planted like Bourbon and Caturra and Geisha and Java and anything else crazy they could get their hands on, maybe there's going to be a demand for that. So they've gone out and just got seeds from people. The Java came from the Maresh family in Nicaragua because of a link between there and like we kind of almost introduced them and they've just run with that friendship and they've exchanged seeds. The geisha came from another contact that they had in Panama and went and bought the geisha. So they've literally just gone out and collected all of these seeds and thought, how will this grow in Bolivia? Now, one of the things when you're planting these crazy, weird varietals is that it's risky. If they've never been grown there before, you've no idea what the yield's going to be, if they'll survive, if the conditions are good, or the soil's good for them. So they've kind of offset this by looking at what's something that grows really, really well in Bolivia, something they have a knowledge of. And so they went for Caturra. Caturra is really hardy, kind of strong plant in those types of conditions. Really needs altitude of like 1,600 meters to 2,000 meters, which Bolivia has in abundance, and just produces really, really consistent cups. And that's what we're going to find when we taste this in a little while, that you just going to see that consistency and just that it's really, really good. Something that's not really good is Roland and his daft backs, but I best we better go and listen. Roland, no, it's not beer time. Beer time is at the end of work, remember? Do you have a daft fact for us?
Did you know that a section of the Alasitas farm is called fingerprint? Because when you see it from above, it looks just like a fingerprint.
So this week's Instagrammer of the week comes from Mike the Skillful. Thank you, Mike, for sending that in. All the love, all of the love. Thank you for that. If you want to be part of the Instagrammer of the week, then you just need to use the hashtag hasbeen or in my mug on the Instagram, and we will feature you here. Please do send them. It's really nice to kind of flick through, and before we're recording these, we kind of try and find one, and it gets quite exciting. So I have some news for you. We haven't done news on In My Mug for about 1,000,000 years, but I do have some news. So your In My Mug at the minute comes in this lovely little bag. And we've heard some terrible news. The terrible news is apparently that in the sea, all the little fishies are getting caught in the bag. They're kind of swimming along and they're kind of going, oh, look, a bag. And they go in there like that. So we've addressed this. Part of trying to do things a little bit better is we've gone to cardboard mailers, which should still fit you through your letterbox. So it's been designed to do that, but it's recyclable. So this mailer is recyclable. It says on the back you can put it in your normal recycling at home, and gets rid of plastic. We don't like plastic, makes the fishies sad. We do like cardboard, because if I just show you, if I get the fishy and he tries to go into cardboard, he just can't do it. He doesn't know his way in. He's really scared of the cardboard. And yeah, oh sorry, it's a she. She's got lipstick on. So anyway, yes, recyclable packaging, something that we're always working towards to try and make the coffee better and make your experience better. I have a mug from a subscriber. I want to thank Phil Elgin for sending this in. He's a ceramicist and it's one that he's made himself. So Phil, thank you very much for this mug. In My Mug subscriber, so thank you. If you want to send me a mug, please do. I love having new mugs. This was such a treat. It actually wasn't sent to me, it was sent to Chris. But because Chris is such a lovely man, he shared it with me, so I can use it for this. But please, send me mugs. I'm poor and I like mugs. So let's get into the tasting. So with this coffee, you do get quite a bit of acidity. This is from really high-grown Caturra in Bolivia that is processed super carefully. And I think that just encourages that acidity to come out. What you do get is like an orange kind of acidity, and more specifically a Satsuma kind of acidity. On top of that, there is like a real rush of passion fruit, kind of quite distinctive. And just really fruit-driven sweetness. It's silky, it's smooth. It's a fantastic coffee. Hope you're enjoying it at home. Hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. Please do join me again soon. But in the meantime, do remember, life is too short for bad packaging and bad coffee and bad fishies. This week we're off to Bolivia and we corrupted.